Hello everyone, welcome back to the Britball YouTube channel. So, today is part 1 out of a 32 part series covering the last 5 years of first round picks for every NFL franchise. Today we're going to start in the AFC East and start with the Miami Dolphins. Just before we get into it, we are unofficially sponsored by Stella again.
As always.
No, it was Bud last week.
It would be a different Bud every week, a different beer every week even.
Yeah, so the sponsorship deals are flying in. Anyway, on to last year's draft. We're going to start with Tua. Take it away.
Tua Tagovailoa was drafted 5th overall in 2020 out of Alabama. If you look for his year one stats, 64% completion percentage, 1,800 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks, 6 and 3 as a starter. As a rookie, looking from the outside in, you'd think that was a good set of stats, in fairness. But if you look into it with more detail, you would realise in the games that he did win, he wasn't the most exciting of players. He had some impressive moments, some impressive drives that made him look like the heir apparent to Fitzmagic, but then there was some probably too many stupid moments where he refuses to pass the ball downfield, doesn't want to use his arm. There was some reports that I've read that was down to a hip injury. Whether it is or not, I don't know. We'll have to see in year 2 if he's still around in Miami at the time. He needs to be less conservative and stop these little 5-yard passes, go for first downs. He's very good at running the ball as well, which is what a quarterback is in the modern day of football. But he needs to learn, and quickly. He needs to have a very good off-season to get completely free of injuries, because he came in the draft with an injury, which might have hindered his draft position, but it didn't in the end. He still went 5th. He needs to come back in year 2 and needs to come back a lot better, because if he's going to become a starter, if he's going to be the franchise quarterback for this team, he really needs to learn quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out on Tua. I just think he has none of the traits needed. When you look at Herbert, he's just a better quarterback, and no one really saw it. But the guy that's 6'6" with a cannon is much better than a hobbit with no arm and doesn't want to sling it out. So, yeah, I'm out on Tua. We give him a C-. He could prove us all wrong, but I hope he doesn't, because that means the Dolphins are good.
I think as well, that the thing that hurts Tua more is that the Dolphins passed up on Herbert, and I think that's hindered his popularity even more, is the fact you could have had what Herbert's done for the Chargers for the Dolphins, and you've now got someone who's on a C- in his first year.
Yeah. So their second pick was Austin Jackson, big O-lineman, taken after Tristan Wirfs, who is a stud. They're unlucky that not one of the big 3 or 4 ones that were drafted in the top 12 fell to them, really. So they had to go for Austin Jackson. Year 1, pretty mediocre. 12 games started. He did have a little injury. One of his weaknesses is run blocking. Their run game was really, really bad. Probably bottom of the NFL. And they don't have a feature running back, but there was just no running lanes. I remember 2 years ago, their top rusher was actually Fitzpatrick and not any of their running backs. So yeah, that speaks volumes. But overall, average, maybe just below average. He did show some good flashes. What do you think about Austin Jackson?
His season was split down the middle. He had a good start to the season. Picked up a month-long injury, came back, wasn't the same person. He was very good at protecting the QB in the first half of the season. When he came back, the run game never really went left, because he's a left tackle. It never really went left because they didn't really trust him. He wasn't very good at blocking the run. And there's talk in this year's draft that the Dolphins are potentially taking the G. Harris, the running back. We don't know yet. I've got them going to the Steelers personally, but they could easily take a running back because their run game is just as bad. If they are going to get a running back, Austin Jackson needs to work on his run protection quickly, because if they're going to utilise a run game which could potentially help Tua, Austin Jackson could play a big part in Tua's future if you can get the running game right as well. So we'll give him a C-.
Yeah. Next, we've got the slot corner Noah
Igbo-
Igbonogine.
Igbonagin. There you go. Noah Igbonagin.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he was 30th overall. I think this was a bit of an unexpected pick. I remember watching the draft and we were thinking they won't go corner.
We had him going running back, didn't we?
Yeah, they've just got Byron Jones, have Xavier Howard. You'd think that they would go for another position, but
Who did we have? We had he's actually doing it right now. I'll come back. He'll come back to me. We had him taking a really good running back that's actually done alright, but this was a complete and utter shock.
Yeah, and they went for the slot corner, and when you look at the guys around him, I mean, you didn't have much to choose from. Damon Arnett has been bad. Jeff Gladney's been very bad.
Yeah.
Year one stats, nothing really screams out at you. You have 28 targets and 17 receptions allowed. That's pretty bad. And the PFF grade is shocking at 37. This is a guy that didn't really play a lot. He couldn't be trusted. And really, when you're a third cornerback in a group that is actually really good, usually your stats are pretty good because you get carried by your unit. But he couldn't even get carried by his unit. So we give it a D. Yeah. It's just been pretty poor. Yeah,
I remember I think we had him taking Deandre Swift, the running back.
Yeah.
And instead, we were very shocked when this guy was called. I didn't really put much research into him, and I'm glad I didn't because he's looked like a bit of a waste of time at the moment. He did play in all 16 games, but that's probably because they had no other alternative. I remember a game against the Bills, especially with your main man, Stephon Diggs. He got burnt on running routes every single time. He's not the best tackler of the ball as well. He will have to improve quickly because he's definitely the anomaly in the Dolphins defense that has been very, very good the past year. He hasn't been the best, so I think a D is very fair of it, and he could even be worse.
Mm-hmm. So then we'll go Christian Wilkins.
2019,
13th overall. This was a class where a lot of defensive tackles went high up. Yeah. Ed Oliver went 8th, Dexter Lawrence 17th. You could argue that Dexter Lawrence would have been a better pick, but Wilkins hasn't been that bad.
No.
Kind of an underrated player. No one really speaks about him, but he's solid. You can see in the stats, 2 sacks, 40 tackles, PFF rating just above average. And he led all rookie defensive linemen in tackles in year one, so he can't be bad. He's probably been better than Ed Oliver in terms of production. Ed Oliver just loves to get pressure, but no real sacks or tackles. So we think we give him a B+, stick with the same grade. Mm-hmm. You got any word on Christian Wilkins?
I think he's been a very solid part of this Dolphins defense, and Brian Flores has got a lot out of him. For his overhaul of the defense in 2019, he got rid of all the dead woods, and he's brought in players like Christian Wilkins. He's been very solid, and in 2020 he recorded at least 2 tackles in every game, and he got a high of 5 tackles in 4 games against the Chiefs, Rams, Jets and Bills. So 3 very good teams he's done very well against. He's a big game player. I like him, apart from the Jets, 3 of the 4. In 30 games he's played, he's got 103 tackles and 3.5 sacks, and that's very respectable. And I think a B+ is very. The Dolphins hit here, definitely.
So next we have a home run in Minka Fitzpatrick.
Arguably their best.
Yeah, well I think you could probably say like joint top.
Yeah.
So he went 11th overall, very high for a safety. Great safety class this year with Minka Fitzpatrick and Derwin James, 2 very good safeties. Year 3 stats, this would be on the Steelers. I mean, he filled up the stat sheet, 84 solo tackles, 4 picks, 18 targets, 7 receptions allowed. He just doesn't really get targeted a lot at all.
No.
Part of a very good defence, near 80 PFF rating. And he's only been in the league 3 years and has made the Pro Bowl twice. So that screams production, and it screams that you've hit on that pick. He was traded for a first round pick that did become Austin Jackson, I think.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, become Austin Jackson. So you could argue, that's pretty bad, but we're just going to take the pick on face value. A plus Pro Bowler.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that, negative-wise, is that he didn't fully maximise his potential at Miami because I think he requested a trade after a blowout loss to the Ravens, I think. And it's because he was very critical of the way he was being played. He was being played in all sorts of different positions. There wasn't one homed in position he was playing, which he wants to play as safety, and he was getting corner, safety, closer. He didn't like it at all. So the only thing I would say is that he's been a hit for the NFL. I wouldn't say he's an A plus for Miami because they couldn't get the best out of him, and he realised that quickly and wanted to leave. They wanted to keep him when he requested a trade. He was their future at defence. They were going to build a team around him. He didn't want to be there. So, admittedly, the Miami Dolphins, they're shooting themselves in the foot. But he's been an A plus for the NFL. You can't deny that.
Mm-hmm. On to the next,
which was Charles Harris.
Big Charles Harris.
Big Charles Harris. He spent 3 seasons in Miami. Overall, he got 61 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and a fumble return. He played 41 games and started 8 for the Miami Dolphins, and he was traded for a 7th round pick. I think it's safe to say that they've had better draft picks, Dolphins. He was part of a mass clear out by Brian Flores when he came in. If you're trading for a 7th round pick and you've gone in the first, you've obviously gone wrong somewhere. And in his last season in 2019 for the Dolphins, he was part of the worst pass rushing defense in the league, and it was seconds to the Atlanta Falcons, who he's been traded to. So he was woeful, to put it politely. He was woeful.
I mean, whenever you trade a 1st round pick for a 7th in only a couple of years in his career,
2 years.
Yeah, you know it's a bad pick. We give him an E. You could give him a U or an F.
Yeah.
We only giving him E because he's actually still in the league. Just about. Might not be next year. On to the next. A home run. Laramie Tunsil hitting the bong there. But we give him a more professional picture now. Yeah. So he did have that infamous draft day moment where someone leaked him hitting a bong a lot of times.
With a gas mask on.
And, pretty sophisticated bong. But he fell to 13th. He was a top 5 pick, but fell to 13th, and the Dolphins got a lot of value from it. He only allowed 2 sacks last year, high PFF rating, and the Dolphins got an absolute haul for him.
Yep.
2 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick.
For him and Kenny Stills.
Yeah.
And in return, they got 2 players and... I forgot what picks they got, but they got 2 minor picks as well for it. But you get him or Fitzpatrick. Who's been better?
I'd probably say Tunsil.
If Laramie Tunsil wasn't at the Texans, they would have absolutely no leverage whatsoever. He's the only... If Deshaun Watson gets traded, which he probably should, this is the only guy that's left.
Yeah.
He started all 44 games he played in for Miami. He was involved in a blockbuster trade. He dominated the left tackle position. He was named an all-rookie team in his first season. And his last year in Miami saw him set a career high of 70.4 pass and run block rating combined. So you can't deny that he has been incredible for the NFL, and the Dolphins got a massive hit on him.
Yeah. And I'd say it's a hit in one of the most important positions.
Yeah.
Probably the second most important position other than quarterback. So it's a good draft pick. He did fall into their hands a lot, so you might not be able to credit the GM too much. I mean, it was just whoever would take a chance on him. He was a top 5 pick and just fell because of him hitting the bong. So that is the Dolphins' last 8 picks. Their last 5 years of first rounders.
Yep.
There's a lot of average in there, but 2 home runs, 1 real bust.
Yes.
But overall, a strong draft.
If you look at when Brian Flores came in, when he's apart from Noah, he's done all right. Christian Wilkins is locked down his position. Tua has got potential. Austin Jackson, average. He hasn't done bad. It's just that if you look at him across, if you give him another 2-3 years, I reckon because of how good Brian Flores is, we'll be looking at, and we do this a video again sometime in the future, we'll be looking at a lot better, a lot higher markings, because I think Brian Flores will get it right, but that's been the past 5 years.
Yeah, so let us know what you think about our grades. Maybe it might stir up a few emotions if there's any Dolphins fans watching. Let us know where we were right, let us know where we were wrong. Any support appreciated. Next video of this series will be the Patriots, so we're going to carry on doing the AFC East. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Adios.